Hello everyone, welcome to L'Oreal Bellissimo. In this session, I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew that trendy Danshiki that you saw just now, and I'll be making use of these two fabrics. This plain fabric and this beautiful Ankara to match this plain fabric. These are the measurements we will be working with. Going by the measurement, the length of the top is 27 inches, but I'll be working with 29 inches, and the 2 inches is for sewing allowances and also hemming allowance. The round body measurement is 38 inches. So 38 inches divided by 2 is 19 inches. So that means 19 inches for the front panel and 19 inches for the back panel. So now this is the back panel I have here. But we are not going to cut 19 inches. It is a free top, so we need to add more than just sewing allowance to it. I will add 7 inches to 19 inches, and that gives us 26 inches. So out of those 7 inches, we have 2 inches sewing allowance and the rest of the 5 inches just for ease in the free top. So this means that on fold here for the back panel, we have 13 inches. So this is the back panel. Now, because it's a mixture of clothes in the front, I'll go ahead to the front now and cut the same measurements. But in this case, half of it will be Ankara fabric and half of it will be plain fabric. And then I would add ½ inch for sewing allowance. For the front, like I said, I have 2 pieces for the front. So this first piece is 13.5 inches. You know it's supposed to be 13 inches, but that ½ inch is for joining this Ankara fabric to it, for it to give us our full front panel. So now I have 13.5 inches of plain fabric and 13.5 inches of Ankara fabric too. Now I'll just go ahead to combine these two together to give us our full front panel. I've sewn the two fabrics together and this is what we have. Now we have the front panel. So at the other side of the seam, here I'll open the two fabrics up and use electric iron to press it well so that it remains flat. Then after that, we will start designing the front panel. Now it's well pressed and this is what it looks like at the back. So I opened it up and pressed it and also did the same thing in front. So the next thing to do now is to fold it into 2, making sure the right side faces each other. That means I'll be having the right side facing me. Okay, so any measurements we take will be after the sewn part. So it's time to curve out the neck, and I'll be doing that around this region. I'll make sure that every measurement I take is after this sewn part. You know, this sewn part is just to join the two fabrics together, so I'll be measuring outside of this. The next thing to do is to do the calculations to cut out the neck. The neck is 16 inches. The neck width, that's this part of the neck, is the neck measurement divided by 6 minus 0.3 inches. For my own project here, the neck is 16 inches. So 16 inches divided by 6 minus 0.3 is 2.4 inches. So it's approximately 2.4 inches. So here I would mark 2.4 inches for the width. Now I have the neck width here. So the next calculation to make is the neck depth. The neck depth is the length here. So the calculation for the neck depth is neck width plus 0.5. So the neck width that you got here, then you will add 0.5 to it. Here I marked 2.4 inches. So for the depth, I'll add 0.5 to it, and that will give me 2.9 inches. I'll just have a nice curve from here to this place. Okay, so I have a curve for the neck of the front pattern already. The next thing to do is to mark the shoulder slant. So I'll be dropping the shoulder by 2 inches on this side, 2 inches on this side. And so I'll just take my ruler and slant it from this neck point to this part. The next thing to do is to mark the shoulder measurement on the shoulder slant, And the shoulder measurement I have is 16 inches. I'll divide 16 inches by 2 and mark it on the shoulder slant. We are starting from this fold, this center back that we have here. Just start measuring 8 inches from this sewn part, then you mark your 8 inches on the slant. I have my 8 inches marked on the shoulder slant already. You know, this is a free top and we are adding the sleeves straight to the shoulder measurement. That means we are not cutting the sleeve separately, we are cutting it with our pattern. So I'm using this shoulder measurement mark to explain something actually. I'll use it to explain the fact that this is where the shoulder actually stops. But because we are adding sleeves, like a short sleeve straight to the major fabric, that's why we have it extended here. Armhole is 14 inches. So I'll divide 14 inches by 2. And that's 7 inches. So I'll add 0.5 sewing allowance to that 7 inches. So we have our armhole here. So I'll just try to straighten this shoulder point to the armhole point. So I'll just mark 8 inches here too, just to make sure that the line is straight. So I'll straighten up the line for the armhole. So I'm going to construct a perpendicular to that line. If I were to cut the armhole separately, I'll just make a curve here and cut it out. But no, I'm not going to make a curve because it's a free top. So I'll just leave it this way and finish up the body of the cloth. The body measurement, which is the round chest measurement, is 38 inches. 38 inches divided by 2 is 19 inches. So because it's unfold, we will divide 19 inches by 2 again, and that gives us 9.5 inches. This is a 9.5 inches point, but I won't mark 9.5 inches. I would add 2.5 inches to it to make it 12 inches. So I'm marking 12 inches at this point. So I have 12 inches here. 12 inches. So I'm just going to mark 12 inches down. You remember I marked 7 inches down from the shoulder slant for the armhole, but I'm not going to cut the armhole with exactly 7 inches because I want the armhole area to also be free. So by the time I'm cutting, I won't get to this place before I cut. So I'll just make a slight curve from 2 inches down this part. I'll measure 2 inches down from the armhole region. So after measuring 2 inches down, I'll just make a curve from that point and slant it this way. It's like a curve at the armpit region. So this is what I'm cutting now. By the time I'm cutting, I'll cut this side, I'll curve it out from this place. That means the armhole will not be too tight because the armhole I'm measuring here is actually going to fall away from the shoulder. So it's time to cut the front panel. Remember to curve it out this way. So the next thing to do now is to cut out the neck curve and the shoulder slant. So now we have the neck curve, the shoulder slant, and the sides ready. Place this on the back panel and cut exactly the same thing out. This is the fabric unfold for the back panel. So I'm going to place the front panel on it. Make sure this sewn part comes out so that it won't add to our measurement. We want exact measurement. So I'll just bring this part that is sewn, I'll bring it out. Alright, so after placing it well, the only difference will be on the neck part. So on the neck part, instead of having this neck depth, I'm going to be having a shorter neck depth, but the same neck width. The front panel neck curve is deeper than the back panel neck curve. So I'm going to mark 1 1/4 inch here for the back neck curve, 1 1/4 inch. I've marked this, so I'll just connect to where the neck width stops. That is my back neck curve. So I will first curve out the neck curve, and after that I'll cut exactly the same thing I have on here. The reason why this shoulder part is not equal for the front and the back is that we already have a shoulder slant on the front, so I'm going to cut out the shoulder slant also for the back and also trim the sides too. So this is what we have. This is the front panel, and here we have the back panel. This is how the front panel looks. It's a mixture of the pattern fabric and the plain fabric. This is the back panel, and it is purely a plain fabric. I'm going to do something on this front panel, and that is attaching the two pockets. I have two pockets prepared already, the pattern pocket on the plain side and the plain pocket on the pattern side. So this is how our pocket will look like. Now I will explain the dimensions of those two pockets. For the pocket, I cut 13 inches long and 10 inches wide. All these lines that you see is because I have used electric iron to fold the edges inside for the fixing of the pocket. So by the time I was done doing this, I have 10 inches by 8 inches. I did exactly the same thing for the patterned pockets. So now I'm going to fold all the edges back inside. And I'll place it this way on the front panel. To fix in the pockets on the front panel, you measure 16 inches downwards from the shoulder slant. So this is the shoulder slant, and I'm going to measure 16 inches downwards. This is 16 inches. I'll measure 16 inches also on the other side. Alright, so the pocket will start from the 16 inches measurement. So for this plain part, I'll put in the pocket on the exact 16 inches mark. And from the middle, I'll measure 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches from the middle. That means my pocket is starting from 1.5 inches from the middle and then 16 inches down from the shoulder slant. I'll do the same thing for the patterned side. I will put it on the 16 inches mark, then I'll measure 1.5 inches from the middle. You know, the middle of this fabric is where the seam is, where we joined this patterned fabric to the plain fabric. So this is 1.5 inches. So that means my pocket is going to start from the 1.5 inches from the middle and 16 inches down. I will go over to the sewing machine and stitch this side, then this side, and also this side. Remember, it's a pocket, so this part will be opened. I'll do the same thing here too. Then our pocket is going to have a pocket cover. I'll explain the dimension of the pocket cover and how to fix them when I'm done stitching these pockets. So I'll just pin for proper placement. The two pockets are well stitched to the front panel. You see it's looking nice already. Concerning the pocket cover, this is what I'm going to use as my pocket cover. And the dimension of my pocket cover is 9 inches by 8 inches. So I'm going to fold it into two like this, and it's going to appear something like this on my pocket. I'm going to stitch it like this, but before I stitch it, I'm going to turn it to the rear side. So after turning it to the rear side, I'll stitch it. I'll make sure I go round this way. Okay, so I've already stitched this pocket cover, so I'll turn it to the right side. This is the way I stitched it. I stitch this side, then like this, and round like this. So I'm going to turn it the other way around, this way. So I'll push the corners out very well. And I'll go over to the sewing machine again and top stitch it. I'll stitch it again like this, and like this. Now I have it top stitched already. So to fix the pocket cover, this is what I'm going to do. I'll put the edge, the unsewn edge, close to the start of the pocket, and I'll just stitch it straight like this. You now see the reason I cut 9 inches wide is so that after stitching on both sides, it will be equal to the width of the pocket. So I'll just place it this way and I'll sew like this. After that, I'll cover it up. After sewing it, I would also stop stitch the top of the pocket. I will also fold the second pocket cover into 2 on the right side. I'll go over to the sewing machine and sew this way. Then I'll turn it out the way I turned this one out, top stitch it, and also fix the pocket on this side. I will then fix buttonhole on the middle of this pocket cover because I want buttons there. I'll use the buttonhole to trace where the buttons will be so that when I button it up, the button will come out and show outside. I'll be back when I'm done with all that. Now I'm done fixing the pocket and the pocket cover. I've already added the pocket cover the way I explained it to you, and I top stitched it up here. So we have it neatly fixed here. After that, I went ahead to make a buttonhole on the middle part of the pocket on both sides, and I fixed my button, tracing out from the buttonhole. So I have fixed my button, and now this is what we have. Wow, looks nice, right? So we have our 2 pockets ready. So the next thing to do now is to fix zipper to this upper part. I'm using this zipper, but I'm going to loosen these stitches by 7.5 inches. The zipper is 8 inches, so I'll just make it shorter than the zipper. So I'll loosen 7.5 inches. I'll stitch the end of the 7.5 inches very well so that I would have a secure zipper. So after that, I'll stitch on this zipper. So I'll just turn it to the back like this, and I'll measure 7.5. 7.5 inches. Now that I've marked the 7.5 inches, I'll go ahead and loosen the stitches. Okay, so I've opened it up and I've gone to stitch this end very well so that we have it well secured. So the next thing to do is to bring the zipper this way. I'm going to put it down, and I'll start from where the zipper latch starts. I can loosen it up like this. So I'll stitch very close to this metal, to the functional zipper. I'll stitch very close to it so that the sides of the zipper will not show. It's only the metal at the middle that will be showing. So I'll stitch it this way, and I'll also come to the other side and place it on the zipper close to the metal, and also stitch that part. I'll be back when I'm done fixing the zipper. Nice, the zipper is ready. So I just put the zipper underneath the clothes, and I put the folded part on the zipper, and I stitched this way. Then I came across this way to this side, and it's looking all nice right now. So now we are going to the next step, which is combining the front panel with the back panel. This is how to do that. We just bring the back panel to the front panel. So this is the back panel. I'll make the right side of the back panel to face the right side of the front panel. So what I have facing me now is the rear side. So I have both panels facing each other right now. What I will do now is stitch the shoulder slants together. So I'll bring the neck points together this way and combine the slants together. So I'll just stitch 1/2 inch on this part and 1/2 inch also, bringing the neck points together. I'll stitch 1/2 inch on this side. Now I'm done joining the shoulder points, and this is how the front looks like. Now it's time to check your neck opening to see if you have the correct measurement. So for me here, the neck measurement I'm working with is 16 inches. So I'll just measure around to see if I have up to 16 inches. Okay, I have 15.5 inches. So I have to do little trimmings to make it 16 inches. So I'll just trim it at this front part. I'll trim off this excess zipper. I'll cut it off because we are still going to finish our neck with bias. I'll just trim a little off from the front to make sure I have my 16 inches. Now I've trimmed it and I have 16 inches neck opening now. I'll make sure I don't pull my zipper up so that the latch doesn't remove, because we are still coming back to fix the bias to hold the zipper in place. So after doing all this, I can open up the top like this. After opening it up, this is what I will do. You know, this is the sleeve area, so I'll just make sure I trim to make the two sleeves equal. Now that they are equal, I'll just fold it a little like this, and I'll fold it again, and I'll stitch the whole sleeve area. I'll also do the second sleeve that way too. I'll trim it and I'll fold it like this. I'll fold it and stop stitching where the armhole measurement stops. I have both sleeve areas stitched now, and this is what we have at the front part. It's neatly finished, and I have the same thing here. So I'll just close it again on the rear side. Alright, so this is what we have after closing it. So on this side, I'll just start from the sleeve opening, the end of the sleeve opening, and I'll just sew this way. Initially, I planned to make the sewing allowance to be 1 inch, but right now I'll just stitch half. So I'll start from this side, I'll stitch ½ inch down till I get to the end of the top. And on this other side too, I'll start from the end of the sleeve opening and sew half down. I've sewn at both sides, and now I'll turn to the right side. Very nice. So now I'll do the hemming of the top. I will fold 1 inch neatly inside, press it on the front and on the back. So I will hem it neatly. Now the base is folded in and it is well hemmed. This is how it looks at the back too. It is neatly hemmed. We are moving closer to the end of this project. The last thing to do is to pipe the neck. And I'm going to use cloth bias, not the usual bias. I'm going to make cloth bias. So I'll be making bias from this piece of fabric. Instead of cutting it straight, I'll just cut this piece of fabric diagonally, and this is the way I'll do that. Instead of folding straight like this, I'll fold like this, like in form of a triangle. I have it folded diagonally, and now I'm going to cut at this part. After cutting, I'll just take one of them out. So I'll use this to form the bias. So I'll measure 2.5 inches from the edge. Then I will rule. Then I will cut it out. This is the piece we want to use to make bias for piping the neck. I've trimmed the slanted sides to make this part straight. This is what I will do. I'll fold the piece into 2 on both sides, facing each other. Now let me say here that if your fabric is very soft, like if I were to be using this Ankara material, I will use a soft paper stay on it. I'll iron it on it before folding. But because this fabric is already thick on its own, I'm not going to gum any paper stay on it. So what I want to do now is to fold it at both sides, facing each other. I'll go and do that with electric iron to make it flat. I've ironed it and this is what we have. The next thing to do is fold it again. So I'll fold it in such a way that one is shorter than the other. Can you see that? I won't fold it equally. I'll make sure one side is shorter than the other side. And that's how I'm going to fold it from edge to edge, and I'll iron it that way. So I'll use the electric iron to perfect it like this again. It's now well folded with electric iron. Can you see the way it looks? So I ironed it in such a way that one side is shorter. So this is what I will do now. I will open up the zipper. Then I'll start fixing this bias I've prepared on the neck region. the shorter side will be facing me. That means the shorter side will be facing the outside of the clothes and the longer side will be facing inside. So when I'm sewing, as stitches run through the shorter part, it will automatically fall on a good side of the back in such a way that you don't have to stitch it twice for you to be sure that it is secure. So that's the essence of ironing it like this. So now I'll just fold it into two this way. I'll fold it like this, then I'll fold it into two again. That is just to give me a neat edge. So I'll place it the way it is now on this part of the top. I'll place it on it and I'll go over to the sewing machine and continue with that trend till I get to this other zipper. So now when I get to the sewing machine, I'll place this fold on the zipper. Can you see that? Making sure that when I pull the zipper up, the zipper latch cannot be removed, because this would have been like a guard to prevent the zipper latch from removing. So I'll just fix it easily across the length of the neck. I will not force this cloth into this bias. I'll just place the bias easily on the cloth and stitch. This bias I cut is actually longer than the neck. So when I get here and I'm sure of the length that I need, I'll just cut the excess length and fold it back again the way I started and finish it up. So I'll be back when I'm done with that. Alright, I'm done piping the neck and this is what we have. Can you see I have the stitches on the inner part of the clothes and this is how it appears outside. So it is neatly fit now. Now I can pull up my zipper without the fear of falling off. And this is how our Danshiki top comes out. I'll give it a good press and I'll show you how it came out. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel for tutorials on lovely styles. See you next time.